What if the real key to a community's health isn't something you'd find in a doctor's office, but on its very own streets? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. A really powerful framework for change that's led by the community itself, putting neighbors, not just clinics, right at the center of well-being.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to uncover the real roots of what makes a community healthy. Then, we'll see how a pretty surprising new partner can jump in and help. After that, we'll get into the actual playbook for making change happen, look at the team you need to pull it off, and finally, lay out a practical plan for how to start small to make a really big impact.
So, where do we even begin? Well, before we can talk about building a healthier community, we've got to understand what's really going on under the surface. What truly makes a place sick or well? And honestly, the answer might not be what you think.
I mean, just think about that for a second. This question is so powerful because it completely reframes the entire conversation. It pushes us to look beyond just medicine and doctors and into the world of our everyday lives. And that brings us to this really important idea called the social determinants of health.
Okay, so what does that actually mean? In the simplest terms, it's all the conditions of your daily life that have a massive impact on your health. We're talking about things like your job, how good the local schools are, and even just how safe you feel walking down your own street.
And when you look at the data, the connection is, well, it's undeniable. Communities that are struggling with things like poor public safety or low employment almost always have worse health outcomes. We're talking higher rates of disease, lower life expectancy. It's this direct link that proves you really can't fix one of these problems without tackling the other. So if the problems are literally rooted in the community, then it just makes sense that the solutions need to be there too. And this leads us to a pretty groundbreaking idea. What if we brought the entire healthcare system out of its hospitals and into the neighborhood as a real partner in all this? Seriously, think about it. The healthcare sector has these immense resources. So what if we could take those resources, and I don't just mean money, but also all that knowledge and leadership, and inject them directly into community development? That's the huge idea here, getting to the root causes of poor health, right, where they actually start. And their contribution goes so far beyond just writing a check. Healthcare systems can bring in flexible funding, which is huge. They've got a deep bench of experts in things like management and finance. And maybe most importantly, they have the ability to build trust at the local level and provide the kind of leadership you need for a big, complex effort like this.
Okay, so how does this all come together in a plan you can actually use? Well, for any of this to work, it absolutely can't be some top-down command. The change has to be built from the ground up, starting with the very people who live there.
This right here, this is the golden rule. It's all about shifting away from that old model, where a bunch of experts come up with a plan and then just show up at a town hall asking for a rubber stamp. Real, lasting change only happens when residents are co-creators from day one, helping to shape the vision for their own neighborhood. And here's what that looks like in practice. The strategy is actually beautifully simple. You empower the natural leaders who already exist on every single street. By recruiting and training these block leaders, you build this incredible network of trust and communication, from neighbor to neighbor, that becomes the foundation for everything else you do. Now, a grassroots effort like this is incredibly powerful, but it can't succeed all on its own. It absolutely needs a dedicated alliance of partners, with each one bringing their own unique strengths to the table. And here's what that dream team looks like. You've got your nonprofits right there on the front lines. You bring in universities for their research and data. Hospitals lend their health expertise, of course. And then you have local government, which can unlock critical funding and help with policy. Every single partner plays a vital role in making the whole machine work together. So we've got the big idea, the partners are in place, and we have this people-first approach. But let's be real, a project this ambitious can feel overwhelming. How do you even start? Well, the answer is you don't try to solve everything at once. And this strategy right here is absolutely crucial. This isn't about some massive, instant overhaul of everything. It's about being targeted, being smart, and being scalable. You start with small, visible wins to build up capacity, confidence, and the kind of momentum that can just keep growing over time. This four-step plan is basically the blueprint. First, you pick a target area that's actually manageable. Then, and this is so important, you study the area with the residents to really understand their needs. Only after that do you create a flexible plan where different partners can plug in where they fit best. And finally, you start small, letting the whole effort grow naturally as the community gets stronger. All right, so let's just pull all these threads together real quick.
The big takeaway is that our health is fundamentally shaped by our environment. Healthcare systems can be an absolute game changer in making that environment better. But, and this is a big but, the change has to be led by the residents themselves, supported by a strong alliance of partners. And it all works best when you start small and build that lasting momentum.
And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. This isn't just some theory, right? It's a practical blueprint for making real change in the real world. So it just leaves you wondering, what amazing things could be built if we apply these ideas right where you live?